Hi everyone. So we'll continue memorizing from the book of Hebrews. So today we are memorizing Hebrews chapter 3 verse 19. So that's the last verse of chapter 3. So with that we are finishing chapter 3. So we already finished chapter 1, which has got 14 verses. Then chapter 2, it has got 18 verses, and chapter 3 has got 19 verses. So together we have memorized 51 verses. So that's a great achievement. We have crossed the half century mark, right? We crossed 50. So today we are memorizing 51. So if we keep this momentum, by the end of 1 year, we'll memorize up to 300 verses. So that's our target. So that's a huge number. So we are targeting that. So keep on memorizing. Don't postpone it. Don't skip it. Keep on memorizing Bible verse. We are just memorizing one verse a day, but over a period of time, we'll be memorizing many verses. See, we just started 2 months back, and it's already like 51 verses we have memorized. That's a huge number, right? So I am also learning with this, and it's working for me. So that's why I encourage each one of you to do this. Another advantage is when we memorize verse, we start living in that light, right? So when we are confused, or when we are going through some problems, or when we have some sufferings, God will speak to us through the verses that we have memorized. So I have experienced it many times. It has consoled me many times. So if we don't know the verse, how will He talk to us through that, right? So it's a great asset. So it will be a great blessing if you can memorize as many Bible verses as possible. So I experienced this many times. So that's why I'm telling again and again, try to memorize as many Bible verses as possible. So we are going at a very slow pace. You're just memorizing one verse a day. It's easy for anyone to memorize, right? So if you start learning in the morning, you can revise it multiple times throughout the day. You don't even have to spend extra time, right? Maximum 10 or 15 minutes. That's all we are spending. But you will be memorizing many verses over a period of time. So please do that and make it a priority, right? And so with this, we'll start memorizing today's verse. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 19. That is our 51 verse, right? 51st verse. So I'll read that first. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 19. So we see that they were unable to enter because of unbelief. So we see that they were unable to enter because of their unbelief. So I'll read 16 to 19, right? Who were they that heard and yet were rebellious? Was it not all those who left Egypt under the leadership of Moses? And with whom was he provoked 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they should never enter his rest, but to those who were disobedient? So we see that they were unable to enter because of unbelief. So because of their unbelief, they were not able to enter the promised land. They all perished in the wilderness except Joshua and Caleb. Rest of the generation didn't enter the promised land, right? So throughout the Bible, we see that Jesus, in the New Testament especially, we see that Jesus is rebuking the unbelief of his disciples or other people. At the same time, he was appreciating the belief of his followers. So many instances are given. So I thought we'll meditate few of them today, so that will help us also to increase our faith or remove that unbelief from our heart, right? So we'll start with the book of Matthew. So here we see the centurion. Jesus heals a centurion servant. So Jesus was amazed at the centurion's belief, right? So we see that. I'll just read that. As he entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, begging him and saying, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home in terrible distress. And he said to him, I'll come and heal him. But the centurion answered him, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my slave, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard him, he marveled and said to those who followed him, Truly I say to you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. So he was appreciating the Roman centurion's faith. Again, we see that he was appreciating the Canaanite woman's faith. So that we see in Matthew chapter 15, verse 21 onwards. The Canaanite woman's faith. And Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and cried, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely possessed by a demon." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It is not fair to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly. So here also he is appreciating the Canaanite woman's faith. But at the same time, we see in many places he is rebuking the unbelief of people, right? Again, in the book of Matthew, chapter 13, we see that the rejection of Jesus at Nazareth, right? Nazareth, the people didn't accept him. They rejected him. And we see that he is telling a prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house. And he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Because of the unbelief, he was not doing many mighty miracles there, right? Again, in the book of Matthew, Jesus curses the fig tree, and he said, in the morning, okay, this is in chapter 21, verse 18 onwards. In the morning, as he was returning to the city, he was hungry, and seeing a fig tree by the wayside, he went to it and found nothing on it but leaves only. And he said to it, "May no fruit ever come from you again." And the fig tree withered at once. When the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, "How did the fig tree wither at once?" And Jesus answered them, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and never doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, 'Be taken up and cast into the sea,' it will be done. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith," right? And again in Mark chapter 9, we see the healing of a boy with a mute spirit, right? And his father was telling, from childhood it was often cast him into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have pity on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible to him who believes." Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, "I believe, help my unbelief," right? So he was criticizing or rebuking the unbelief of his father, of the mute boy's father. And again, another thing is given in John chapter 20. Thomas was doubting Jesus. We all know that, right? So I'll read that. Now Thomas, chapter 20, verse 24 onwards. Jesus and Thomas. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and place my finger in the mark of the nails, place my hand on his side, I will not believe." 8 days later, his disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them. The doors were shut, but Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, Put your finger here, and see my hands, and put out your hand, and place it in my side. Do not be faithless, but believing." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "You have believed because you have seen me. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." Right? So there is great blessing if we can believe. So there are multiple instances we can read. So because of lack of time, I've read only a few. So I want to read just one more and conclude. So in the Revelations, book of Revelations, chapter 21, verse 8, we read, He who conquers shall have this heritage, and I'll be his God, and he shall be my son. This word is important, right? He who conquers. So we should conquer our temptations. We should conquer our weaknesses. We should conquer our unbelief, right? So we should be conquerors. He who conquers shall have this heritage, and I'll be his God, and he shall be my son. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the polluted, as for murderers, fornicators, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their lot shall be in lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. With this, we'll conclude today's meditation. So I'll read Hebrews chapter 3, verse 19. That's the last verse of Hebrews chapter 3. So I'll read that again. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 19. So we see that they were unable to enter because of unbelief. Thank you. God bless you all.